So they stepped along towards Tuxford, chatting and laughing, until they came nigh to the town. Here Little John stopped and set down his basket, for he did not care to go into the town lest he should, perhaps, meet some of the sheriff's men. "Alas, sweet chucks," quoth he, "I must have leave you. I had no thought to come this way, but I am glad that I did so. Now, ere we part, we must drink sweet friendship." So saying, he unslung the leathern bottle from the end of his staff, and drawing the stopper therefrom, he handed it to the lass who had carried his staff, first whipping the mouth of the bottle up on his sleeve. Then each lass took a fair drink of what was within, and when it had passed all around, Little John finished what was left, so that not another drop could be squeezed from it. Then, kissing each lass sweetly, he wished them all good den and left them. But the maidens stood looking after him as he walked away whistling. "What a pity," quoth one, "that such a stout lusty lad should be in holy orders." "Marry," quoth Little John to himself as he strode along, "yon was no such ill happening. Saint Dustin sent me more of that like." After he had trucked along for a time, he began to wax thirsty again in the warmth of the day. He shook his leathern bottle beside his ear, but not a sound came therefrom. Then he placed it to his lips and tilted it highly aloft, but no drop was there. Little John," said he sadly to himself, shaking his head the while, "woman will be thy ruin yet, if thou dost not take better care of thyself." But at least he reached the crest of a certain hill, and saw below a sweet little thatched inn lying sunningly in the dale beneath him. Towards he the road dipped sharply. At the sight of this, a voice within him cried aloud, "I give 3 jolly good friends, for yonder is thy heart delight, to wit a sweet rest and a cup of brown beer." So he quickened his pace down the hill, and so came to the little inn, from which hung a sign with a stag head painted up on it. In front of the door, a chuckling hen was scratching in the dust, with a brood of chickens around her heels. The sparrows were chattering of the household's affairs under the eaves, and all was sweet and peaceful, that Little John's heart laughed within him. Beside the door stood 2 stout cobs with broad, soft, padded saddles, well fitted for easy travelling, and speaking of rich guests in the parlour. In front of the door, 3 merry fellows, a tinker, a peller, and a beggar, were seated on a bench in the sun, quaffing stout ale. "I give you good den, sweet friends," quoth Little John, standing up to where they sat. "Give 3 good den, holy father," quoth the merry beggar with a grin. "But look thee, thy gown is too short. Thou hast but cut a piece of it top and tuck it to the bottom, so that it may be long enough. Come and sit beside us here and take a taste of ale, if thy vows forbid thee not." "Nay," quoth Little John, also grinning, "the blessed Saint Dustin hath given me a free dispensation for all indulgence in that line." And he thrust his hand into his pouch for money to pay his score. "Truly," quoth the tinker, "without thy looks belie thee, holy father, the good Saint Dustin was wise, for without such dispensation his votary is like to ha many a pence to make. Nay, take thy hand from out thy porch, brother, for thou shalt not pay this shot. Ho, landlord, a pot of ale. So the ale was brought and given to Little John. Then, blowing the forth a little way to make room for his lips, he tilted the bottle of the pot higher and higher, till it pointed to the sky, and he had to shut his eyes to keep the dazzle of the sunshine out of them. Then he took the pot away, for there was nothing in it, and heaved a full deep sigh, looking at the others with moist eyes and shaking his head solemnly. "Oh, landlord," cried the pedlar, "bring this good fellow another pot of ale, for truly it is a credit to us all to have one among us who can empty a cannakin so lustily." So they talked among themselves merrily, until after a while quoth Little John, "Who readeth those two nags yonder?" "Two holy men like thee, brother," quoth the beggar. "They are now having a goodly feast within, for I smell it, the steam of a boiled pullet just now. The landlady saith they come from Fountain Abbey in Yorkshire, and go to Lincoln on matters of business." "They are a merry couple," said the tinker, "for one is as lean as an old wife's spindle, and the other as fat as a sunnet pudding." "Talking of fatness," said the pedlar, "thou themselves lookest none too ill fat, holy friar." "Nay, truly," said Little John, "thou seest in me what the holy Saint Dunstan can do for them that serve him up on a handful of parched peas and a tickle of cold water." At this a great spout of laughter went up. "Truly, it is a wondrous thing," quoth the beggar. "I would have made my vow to see the masterly manner in which thou didst tuck away yon pot of ale, that thou hast not tasted clear water for a brace of months. Has not the same holy Saint Dunstan taught thee a goodly song or two?" "Why, as far that," quoth Little John, grinning, "mayhap he hath lent me aid to learn a ditty or so." "Then pray thee, let us hear how he hath taught thee," quoth the tinker. At this Little John cleared his throat, and after a word or two about a certain hoarseness that troubled him, sang this: "Ah, pretty maid, whither thou dost go, I pray thee, wait for thy lover also, and well gather the rose as it sweetly blooms, for the merry winds are blowing." No, it seemed as though Little John's song were never that get sung, for he had got no farther than this when the door of the inn opened, and came out two brothers of Fountain Abbey, the landlord following them, and, as they sang it, washing his hands with humble soap. But when the brothers of Fountain Abbey saw who it was that sang, and how he was clad in the robes of a grey friar, they stopped suddenly, the fat little brother drawing his heavy eyebrows together in a mighty frown, and the thin brother twisting up his face as though he had sour beer in his mouth. Then, as Little John gathered his breath for a new verse, "How now?" roared forth the fat brother, his voice coming from him like loud thunder from a little cloud. "Thou naughty fellow, is this a fit place for one to grab to tipple and sing profane songs?" "Nay," quoth Little John, "sin I cannot tipple and sing, like your worship reverences. in such a goodly place as Fountain Abbey, I must e'en tibble and sing where I can. Now out up on thee, cried the tall, lean brother in a harsh voice. Now out up on thee, and that thou shouldst so disgraceful thy clothes by this talk and bearing. Marry, come up on, quoth Little John. Disgrace, sayest thou? Methinks it is more disgrace for one of our grab to wring hurt-eared farthings out of the grip of poor lean peasants. Is it not so, brother? At this the tinker and the pedlar and the beggar knocked one another, and all grinned, and the friars scowled blackly at Little John. But they could not think of nothing further to say, so they turned to their horses. Then Little John arose of a sudden from the bench where he sat, and ran to where the brothers of Fountain Abbey were mountaining. Quoth he, Let me hold your horses, bridle for you. Truly your words have smitten my sinful heart, so that I will abide no longer in this den of evil, but will go forward with you. No vile temptation, I vow, will fall upon me in such holy company.